Welcome back, everybody, to the Trompowsky attack series, and this is the episode number 2. Last time in the series, we talked about the most common variation of the Trompowsky attack. Now, if you don't know what the Trompowsky attack is, it's an opening with white that you can play against the knight of 6 lines after d4, so you cut some theory in half. And we talked about d5 last time. Today we're going to talk about the e6, the classical defense. This is what I use against the Trompowsky, so I don't get caught off guard when they play the Trompowsky. If you are maining Grunfeld, King's Indian, or Nimzo Indian, or Belgo Indian, or Benoni defenses, you need to know and have a weapon for the Trompowsky attack, as well as the London, but that's not important. Anyway, so basically the whole point of it is, it's a solid weapon. It resembles kind of a Nimzo Indian. You can also just play something like a King's Indian in this variation. You can try. I've done it a couple of times against my friends. If you can play like... You can also gambit a pawn in one of these lines if you want to be feisty. But we're only going to be revolving around white's perspective here. Basically, there are a couple of lines here. First of all, we're going to talk about the setup that I will recommend for you. And then in the end, after them, we're going to talk about, c4 and e4, which are also lines. Actually, I used to be a fan of c4 back in the day, but I switched to something different. c3, basically, this. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Let's get into the video, and I hope you enjoy this. So, also, it's 2 a.m. in the morning, and I can't sleep, so another bonus of why I'm recording this video. Also, if you hear like something in the background, that's my fan. It's very hot in here, despite the time of day. So, yeah. Let's get on to the video. Okay, let's delve with the first line. Now, there are 3 choices you have. We're going to talk about the other 2 choices lightly after the end of this one. The line that I want you to be playing is e3. Again, with the same concept of building the dark square wall, trading your dark square bishop, which becomes expendable in the Trompowsky attack for a knight. If you can trade it for a bishop, fine, but most likely you want to trade it for a knight, because the knights work really well in the Trompowsky attack. We discussed it about this last video. If you want to watch it, go ahead. And there's 4 responses in this line. There's 4 responses, the most common ones I've seen. First, start with the first one. The most common one I've seen is bishop to e7. Bishop to e7 aims to unpin the knight, potentially prepare it to, to attack this bishop because it unpins. You have a couple of options here. First of all, the g3 setup works like a charm. I've tried it. I've tried it a lot of times. Blitz games, bullet games, rapid games, tried it in every single one of them. Works like a charm. Another one that works is also the c3 bishop d3 setup, which we're going to start with it. We're going to start with that. We're going to start with the bishop d3 setup. After the castle, let's say the castle, and you bring your bishop out, one of the most common moves is h6, which is basically to attack your bishop. I want you to start taking this. Again, like in the Trompowsky, your bishop is expendable. They take back, and then you can start developing. Let's say they also take space. You have a very good move here. If you want, you can try. If you don't want to try it, play knight to f3, which is again standard Trompowsky stuff. If they play c5, then again you go here, and if they close down the position, that favors you. And if they start expanding, you can just castle. They take space on the queen side. You can undermine it if you want. You can also just lock it down if you want. But most likely you want to break the queen side down. If they take you, that's a little too much. You can bring your rook out. They can attack you, sure, but you just go back and you're fine. And if they develop, let's say, you also can undermine the queen side like that. And you have a couple of targets, the pawn there. And then you can just reinforce this pawn and be in good shape. But again, that setup, same with the g3 setup, I think you can just do the same thing. We're going to look at that. That's if you don't want to try the move I'm going to tell you right now. Knight f3 is very good. I've tried it myself many, many times. The move that you can also play in this position is f4. To the untrained eye, that looks like a bad move. You're weakening your e-pawn. Very much you are. But here's the problem. You are making it a backward pawn, but it cannot be attacked in any way. Because in the last video, we discussed about the Stonewall setup. If you're a Gotham chess fan, you know about it. The reason why the Stonewall doesn't work on the d5 line, which we discussed in the last video, is basically because the e-file is semi-open and you can bring rook, bishop, and queen to target it. And you're going to have to move your king, bring your queen. It's going to be really bad. The reason this works here is because black cannot push this pawn ever. They have to play f6, e5, and bring a rook or a queen or a knight. If they check you, which looks very plausible, you just cover. And in some positions, you can just reposition your bishop to cover the light squares there. So yeah, there is nothing. And if you can just play your knight, you can also cover the squares. If they play this again, don't take this. I'm not the engine is just recommending you to take this. Do not, just stop taking this one. It's not worth it. Instead, you can just plant your knight. You can castle. There's so many moves you can do here. Like, again, the instructions, just the same instructions apply, but the added one is that you need to control the e5 square, which sometimes black will fight for, but you're ready here. If they ever take this knight, you will take with the f pawn. So that way you open up the f file, you take more space on the king side. You can also still have ideas of queenside expansion later down the line. Just go a3, b4, a4, a5, take more space. If they play c5, any time in the future, bring your queen. If they lock down the position, that's your favor. If they go f5, which is trying to lock down en passant, it opens up the position, but the f-file is open, and you can start fighting for it. And you can play moves like doubling up the rooks, or, bringing in the knights, the knight, that other piece that we talked about. You can also just take advantage of the weak light squares that, black has left there. I mean, if they attack your rook, like the ensign is saying, just move it up one square, you're fine. If they move there, that's a ridiculous move, I don't know why. I guess it's just trying to safeguard the king. It's more likely you'll select queen to e7, which brings the queen closer. You can check the king and then go back with the bishop, try to trade it off. If they trade, you remove their bishop pair. They have a dark square bishop. The knight versus bishop middle game will be a little bit better for you, and their bishop will just be completely nullified. If they close down the position, oh, that's the wrong move. If they close down the position, they help you, if I'm completely honest, because you can just go back and take advantage of the squares. And there's nothing that black can do. You just have a permanent thorn into the square. And in some positions, you can play h4, h5. Now, not in this case, but you can play king g2 and h4 in the future. Like, you can just put that bishop there as a permanent anchor for the black position, and it will be really annoying to deal with, and probably will not be dealt at all. And the only move is like bishop to d8, but that's just a big waste of the time, because by the time they take this and you take back, you have complete control of the f file. They still have the dark square bishop problem, and Lionfield uploaded, and I need to watch it. That's not part of the chess instruction video. I'm just joking. Anyway, again, that f4 system, if you like it, go ahead and try it. I do not pressure you to try it. It's very good. If they play c5, you know the deal. You bring your knights. If they close down the position, that's on your favor. And if they keep building up, you castle, and you bring your queen. You take space on the queen side, a3, a4. And you also take control of the square. If they do not take you in any way, you can keep supporting this knight on the center. If they take you like this, you take with the knight, and you have a very strong knight, and trust me, 9 times out of 10, they will do this. And they don't have the bishop pair anymore, and you have an open f-file. You can use that to start attacks. You can also completely nullify in a queenside expansion. If they go a5, try to expand, you can just start building up a fight on the queen side. They can go here, you will just take. You don't have to take. You can also just go rook to b1. If they lock down the position completely, that also works in your favor. If they take control of the a file, you can just move your queen, they attack your pawn. They don't really attack your pawn, let's be completely honest. You can also just break down this structure. You use your double pawns to undermine the center and have more control. If they do this, you can just support it. Takes, and probably will have to trade. If they just double up here, trying to get a queen trade, you can always just trade. You're fine. And you can just keep supporting this, and you're fine. And after this, you can either, if you take this, then it's probably just going to end in a draw by repetition. Just to quake a little, thing. Yeah, you can have a pretty good game with white and with black, because the classical defense is pretty good and pretty popular. Now, that's one of the responses, bishop d7. Now, another response that you're going to see is just the immediate h6, which asks the bishop a question. It's basically the entire thing. It's the same thing that I've talked about. Takes, and what's the move? g3 or c3. Either of these moves are good. In this case, I'll show you the g3 setup, because basically, this is just a transposition, and it's the same exact thing. So there's nothing different. You bring your bishop out. If they undermine the center, in this case, you do not have the stone wall set up, but you can try. Like, for example, you can go here, and they go here. You can try this. You can try it. It's kind of works, but after this, it could be a little dangerous. A little bit, just a tiny little bit. You can play the stone wall setup again here. I don't normally go for this in this specific variation when they play c5 early on like that. So yeah, keep this in mind. You can just support this. If they, go like this, you can bring your knight, d5, and f4 again. Here still works, but I don't normally go for it. I go for something else like knight to f3, just keeping it all simple. The castle, and then it's basically the exact same thing. All principles apply. Stonewall setup still works. I don't go for it all the time. I just mostly go for knight f3 instead of f4. But the Stonewall setup still works if you want to try it. Just be careful of the e-file opening up early. If the e-file is open, you cannot play the Stonewall, because then your opponent is going to be weak. That's a warning. Now, another line that can happen here is d5. This is basically in transposition to the d5 line. You take, and in this case, if they take the g-pawn, they're crazy. If they take with the queen, you got a better d5, honestly, because you just go here, you develop, and also, once again, the Stonewall setup works, even though I don't go for it almost the entire time. I play something else, like g3 probably, like here, for example. I'll just go for g3, and then here, like this. I know the engine doesn't like it. Trust me, in a real game, you're gonna like it. And then, if takes, you know what's happening. Knight to c6, and then you develop. And now if they develop, you develop. And if they take, again, you take. So it doesn't matter. Again, here. And if you want to try the stone wall here, you very much can. Just be careful of the structure, because the knight can get in. So you need to be careful of that. Of checks like that, for example, that's like minus 1.4 immediately. Be careful. Be careful of moves like this. You don't want to invite the knight to, like that. So that's why sometimes the Stonewall setup might have to be avoided. Anyway, and again, if you don't want to play the Stonewall, just play knight f3. You're fine. And bishop to here, castles, and the same ideas apply. Queenside expansion, kingside attacks, slow reposition of your pieces, and positional chess. Everything we discussed in the last video applies. And that's the third response. And the final response you're going to see, you're not going to see it that often, but if it happens, don't panic. c5. That's the next response you're going to be seeing. And you're probably not going to be seeing it at all, because no one goes for it, even though it's the top engine move. The whole point of this is to basically just undermine your barrage and say that you are an idiot and you traded your bishop for a knight. You did not do that yet, but you're going to do that soon. When c5 arrives on the board, play the move c3. If they take you, you need to be careful of this. So you need to take the other way. That way, this doesn't work. This is just a waste of a move. So yeah, that's the minor difference. You just take with the e-pawn, and you're fine. Again, if this happens, take, you're fine, and then you solidify your dash squares. Even though you have a small opening on the e file, there's not much any way they can take advantage of it. So d5, for example, and you bring the knight. This time the stone wall does not work, unfortunately, because you don't have support for f4. It is just a pawn loss. I mean, it's just a pawn loss, so it doesn't work. And let's say they just develop, they develop, you develop your kings, your rooks, and you go here. The other thing is, if c5 happens and you play g3, apparently you're just way worse. So, I mean, way worse than understatement, maybe just slightly worse, because of this, and this. Looking a little scary, but you got this. Honestly, if you see c5 early, it's better to just go for this one. This go setup. If they just play normally, they just don't take immediately, just develop normally. If they go here, again, you can also just play the stone wall. Again, you got the stone wall available. If they take you, if you take with the c-pawn, well, there's ideas like that, and you're kind of cooked. Be careful sometimes in these positions with the stone wall setup, because they can find ways to take advantage of your structure. Only in some positions the stone wall can work. You can make it work in other positions. But like positions with d5, when the e pawn for black is traded and became a double pawn on the f file, yeah, it can't work. It's one of these rare cases here as well, because squares like that just get taken advantage of and you have a hard time. So be careful with the stone wall setup, you might mess it up. It's not horrible in any means, but it's a little, well, delicate. So be careful when you set up clamps like this. Even the dots, like in the dots, you can also send a stone wall setup. Anyway, and if you don't want to play the stone wall setup, you have my blessing. You can play this. The castle, well, you can play your stuff. I mean, if they ask the bishop a question, take, and queen to d3. If they close the center, that's a free pawn, first of all. If they prepare to attack you or develop castle, and then if they take more central space, start the expansion on the queen side whenever you want. And if they close down the position, favors you because you have the knights. And also you can always start an attack. For example, in the blitz game, that would happen is king h1 and then just go ballistics, like h3, g4, and just go ballistic crazy like this. You can just go crazy. And in the future, you can, example, just reroute your knight and then start an attack like this. In bullet and blitz games, that might work. In rapid and classical and daily, maybe not so much. It's maybe need to think a little bit before you start an attack. Especially a rust attack like this. But you can do that if you want. That's why it's called an attack. It's not called a defense or a game or opening. That's why it's called like that. Anyway, that's it. That's basically it for the setup. That I covered basically everything that I faced, seen on YouTube videos and stuff like that. I analyzed in the latest database opening. Like there's just in the database, there's like all of this analyzed. There's nothing else I can give you. You again, to recap, is basically if you see bishop to e7, you have again the choice of the setups, and you also got the stone wall, which you can play after you get your development or before you get your development. You trade this and then you can play it. In this case, the stone wall again works because there's very little resistance to be put. If they go c5, try to undermine everything. Just go here. If they take you, that's fine. You cannot be taken advantage of. Taking advantage of the weakness of your positions, which there are not many. There's not at all. Just you can always make the argument that the e3 pawn is a little weak, but it's not. You can always just defend it. And here, and again, queenside expansion over here. And in this case, a3 is a top engine move, because if you don't play this, then this knight can harass you, and that's not good. So yeah, a3, b4, also ideas on the cards, and yeah. That's pretty much it. This is what you need to know for the e6 classical defense if you're just starting out on the Trompowsky. If you want to take it to a next level, which I do not, I prefer to stick with the guns of e3 and g3 or e3 setups. I will show you some of the other lines. I will start by showing you the big center variation. Okay, so if you want to delve with the big center variation, I know I said big boy, I watched too much Guest Daily before this video, is basically e4, and the point of this is you're trying to win the knight. You're not going to do that. That's not the point. There are two most common moves here, and both of them are almost the same. Bishop to e7. In this case, you have two options. Knight to f3, knight to d2, or simply pushing the pawn. I like to not do that, like pushing the pawn. If they make you push the pawn, you will push it. I mean, whatever. If they go here, that's kind of a mistake. If they go here, which is the best move, you take. And this is actually the most common line that I get as black here when I play the move bishop to e7. Basically, I'm trying to get some locked structure, play c5 in the future. Like here, for example, what you can do here with black is something like this. Not right now, but you can do it. They have to support. It's kind of a friends, but without the bishop, if you think about it. Castles, if they build their big center, you can always just lock it down. You know? You can always just lock the center down. And what you can do here with black is you can play something like this, which kind of looks ridiculous, and you should not play it. But it's actually pretty fun, because you nullify the light square bishop. What you can also do here is f5, but you might run into en passant stuff. You can play them as white. You can also just develop and keep the center completely closed, so you're going to have to rely on like h4, h5 ideas. Look at the ensign already going h4, h5 is the way to go here to claim advantage. If they go for b4, you can apparently just go king f2, don't even castle, according to the engine, and then start bringing the pieces, like rook to h3, and if they take you, that's fine. The center is completely closed. If they attack you here, apparently you can just play this very weird looking move, and then apparently like advance the pawn, and then stop all the fun. But then you can support it like this, and after that you can apparently just get a queen trade and or something like that, or get the knight. I mean, it's kind of goofy, but you get an attack going slowly. Exactly what we talked about. You maneuver your pieces in a way that you could either, one, create an attack, or two, play positionally and create a weakness. And in this case, you make an attack, basically. Like, you can just transfer your knight in here. If they go here, try and stop that idea, it's probably just gonna something like this, for example, where you go here and prepare to move g4, for example. Like, here, you prepare that, not right away, because there's tactics. If you take that, you die, you lose your rook. So, you got moves like this, and if they play the same thing, now it's bad, because apparently that thing is defended. So, if you're gonna make an attack, be careful. Anyway, that's pretty much this line. Let's go to the other one, which is basically e6. h6. You immediately take this, and then you just develop. That's all. You develop. You can play c3 here. If they attack the pawn, you defend it, and basic principles still apply. You can apparently play this weird move. You can gambit the pawn if they take it. Apparently, you got it in attack. Don't want to delve into that. Simple. Defend the pawn like that. If they take it, you take. You take. Simple position for you. Long castles apparently preferred by the engine. You can also just develop. Like, just keep it simple, you know? Positional chess, simple chess, fits all playstyles. And what it can look like is something like, I don't know, something like this in the future, where you will still be building your dark square wall, no questions asked. You will still be rearranging your pieces in a way that benefits you, and you will also be expanding on the queen side in the future. All those ideas, keep them in mind. Also, if you want to be extra feisty, king h2, and not right away, but let's say you have king h1. You also get king z2 as well. Both are ideas. We also got rook e1, improving ideas. You can also just have attacks. You can just h4, h5, and g4. h4, g4, like ideas like that. I normally don't go for them. I just go for the slow and positional chess. So, you can try anything you want. If you do not like the offensive nature of this opening, offensive, I mean the king side attacks or the opposite side castling attacks, just go for the slow positional game where you just chill with your knights. And you won't see the classical defense this often. Like most people just go for d5 because they don't know what to do. But if you see e6, be ready. This is the big center variation. Now we're gonna look at another one, which is the East Indian Sirawan attack. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Now, it's time to talk about East Indian attack. I do not recommend this for you. Why? If you came here to play an easy opening that revolves around avoiding theory and following basic instructions, this is not for you. I don't play it myself, frankly. Why? Because you nullify the entire point of your opening. The entire point of Trompowsky for most people is to cut theory. The reason why the East Indian attack is not really good is because black can transpose into openings you do not want to see. What that would look like is something like this, like the Nimzo, for example. You can accidentally stumble into a Nimzo Indian, or into something very weird looking, something that you do not have control over. And I'm lagging again, cool. I love that. Anyway, basically the Nimzo, they just put pressure to the center, and I don't know the Nimzo at all. I just know the basics of how to counter it. The way you counter the Nimzo is to just play the Trompowsky attack. So that's basically it. If you don't want to delve into the heavy theory, that is. Another reason why this is not very good is you can just stumble into a Queen's Gambit decline line. If you don't play the Queen's Gambit, you're going to have problems. If you play the Queen's Gambit, you might know the stuff. If you don't play the Queen's Gambit decline line, knight c3, bishop to b4, bishop to g5 lines, and classical lines, and you play the Catalan instead, which completely avoid these and give you some basic instruction again. Basic instructions like developing the bishop, gambiting a pawn, and having good development. You're going to struggle a little bit. Maybe if you're playing the Catalan, you'll know some basics about the lines, but if you do not play the Queen's Gambit at all, like you play, I don't know, a London or something that is not Queen's Gambit or, Catalan-like, you're going to struggle. So another reason why I recommend it. Also, there's also other moves like 8-6, and if you actually stumble into something that remotely looks like a Trompowsky attack, c5 is also on the table, by the way, just undermining your center. If you take that, that's really bad, kind of a Benoni structure. They can also pin you. It's very bad. You don't have control. If you play, if you try to defend the center, for example, you can always strike back. You just drag yourself into a line that you do not know. And again, another Queen's Gambit decline transposition. So that's why I don't recommend you the c4 lines at all. Like, you can play them if you want to delve into transpositions. If you don't want to, don't. Like, you can end up like this defense. Do you know how to counter that? You can't, because you didn't study your theory. So if you did study your theory, however, you can play this if you want, but it's unsure if you either get a Queen's Gambit decline line or a Nimzo Indian. Really depends on your opponent. Or you will get neither, and you will get something that somebody just farted upon and called it an opening. Anyway, that's the reason why I don't recommend the c4 line. But if you want to play something that looks like it, first of all, if bishop to e7, you just develop normally. You're going to have to face the consequences of playing like this. If c5 happens, you have to play e3 and then takes, and castles, and you just bring the rest of your pieces out. You don't play the Trompowsky anymore. You're playing a completely different opening. And look at that. Now this is a Caro-Kann. You can transpose to an e4 opening without realizing it. This is so stupid, right? So, yeah, you can transpose to a lot of openings here. Like, you can even transpose to... Can you transpose to friends? That would have been so funny if you could transpose to friends. But you can't. I think you just cannot. Which is kind of funny. But, yeah, that's why I don't recommend you c4. Because you just stumble on different openings that will not benefit you, really. You could accidentally end up in a Caro-Kann, and you're suddenly playing the Panov attack, and do you know what the Panov attack is about? I don't. Do you? No, probably. Because you're watching a d4 opening video, and you don't play e4. Or you play e4, but not as much, like me. So yeah, that's why I don't recommend the c4 line. If you want to bear the transpositions that come with this, you're free to do it. Now it's time we look at the example games that I've got for you. Okay, this is the first game, and actually I'm with the black pieces. So I'm gonna play the classical defense. This game is from a while ago, like around 2 weeks ago. Uh, I won in the funniest way possible. I still remember it to this day. We have the classical defense, the E3 line, which also I've completely recommended everybody at this point to play this. And I've started to perform and perfect better with the classical defense because I actually threw in some work to learn this. So, props to my opponent for not immediately taking here, by the way. That's what most people do. But it's basically the same thing, but it's better to just play e3 first. Bishop to e7, bishop d3, h6, bishop takes. So we have the bishop d3 setup with c3. No g3 setup, which is what most people don't go for, which is also very solid. But they go for the c3 setup, and actually in the database, the c3, e3, bishop d3 setup is the most common one. Castles. Queen c2, c5. Well, this is why I love Lichess, because it's a testing ground for openings that I come up with. And this is one of these cases. When I was making the video back with the f4 Slav, which is a complete failure of a video, like, I mean, it's gonna work for, like, blitz games and rapid games at 800, but it's probably not gonna work for, like, 1700. And I stopped playing it as a result of that. It also bears my name on it, so if you are interested, check out that video. I might make a remaster of that as well. Anyway, so this is just a gambit because I'm trying to just develop as fast as possible. That's pretty much what I did. And also, if you're white here, offered a pawn like this, don't take it. Just continue your development. Because if I take you, there's nothing, and if I just put pressure, there's still nothing. Because one, you keep your dark square wall intact. Two, you're fine, and the dark square bishop is still completely useless. The only scope it has is this, but you're most likely going to take this. Or not, because you're going to cancel, and if they take you, that's even better for you. So yeah, don't be scared of gambits like this. Just don't take them, because if you take them, the structure gets a little bit weird. Like, hold up, here. The structure gets a little bit weird, and I don't like that as white. I play knight to c6, and they go knight to t2, standard so far. And now I play the move queen to e7, which is a very simple purpose of developing with tempo. And he plays the move knight to b3. That is, the moment I saw that move, I was like, holy shit. The reason it's so bad, and so hated by the engine, to the extent of giving me a 0.3 advantage, is basically because you're blocking your entire plan. The entire plan of this is to just b3 and b4, I mean a3, b4 in the future. Not right away, because I will just like in the Queen's Gambit, there's a tactic first of all here. I will undermine you, and I will destroy you. Let me know if you want a Queen's Gambit opening, by the way. Just, quick little reminder. So it's not worth defending the pawn. If you go to defend the pawn, it better be an attacking and defending move at the same time. But my opponent plays knight to b3, which nullifies the queenside expansion completely for now, and overprotects pretty much. I also have moves like b6 here, which is kind of funny. I play the move knight to e5, which looks a lot more human, with the idea to completely remove the light square bishop from the game, and as a result of that, my opponent just moves out of the way. If you move away from the powerful diagonal, you're still completely fine, because you still have a very good bishop. A5 now to take space, and pretty much tell to my opponent that you are trash, I will attack you on the side. And my opponent replies with, okay, I will do the same. Mutual agreement on the queen side, and now I play the move d6, which is apparently not the greatest move. Slowly white is getting a little bit more advantage, but honestly, it's pretty equal. After b6 is kind of not, because of rook to d1, which is not played, this is played, so we take like this. F4 is just fine, but maybe a low dopamine move, really. Just, H3 is what is played. Now we'll play the bishop on this diagonal. We'll go here. And F5, which I cannot explain. I don't know why I played that move. Because you will see, It gets very nicely taken advantage of by my opponent. The best move, according to the computer, is rook to d1. Not this rook, because I don't know. Don't know why. Whatever. I guess it argues that this rook is just good for queenside expansion. I don't know. But gets advantage. Taken advantage of this way. I cannot speak English at 3 in the morning. I need to stop. So takes here. We threaten a mate in 1. Here's the funniest thing that happened. White went here. In my mind, I thought white played this, so I would go here. And that's the top line. But I almost pre-moved rook to c8, because in my head I thought, my opponent is not such a goofball that would hang mate in 1 like that. That's stupid. Well, they insisted on hanging mate in 1, and then I saw it magically. Like, after rook to c8, I was like, for a split second, I was like, holy shit, I forgot I had mate. I saw it immediately the moment I played this move. But I could not ask for take back to my opponent, because he would not do that. And also, I don't like asking for takebacks, because that's not how chess is supposed to be played. That's only for friendly games. But then, the moment he played this, I was like, fuck it, we ball, and I checkmated him. Very stupid. I doubt you'll see this gambit. If you do see this gambit, be careful and do not take it. You don't have to take it. Just be silent. And if my pawn did not get accepted, I'll probably again play knight c6 or d5 and just have it taken. But you would not take it because you want to be solid. And castles and I would probably support and develop and stuff like that. And then you would go for your stuff. That's it. That's the first game. Let's go to the last game. And for the last game, it's kind of also another goofy one. It kind of shows you how people just do not have a clue on what to do against the Trompowsky sometimes, which is also another charm of this opening. They just don't know what to do against it. Kind of reminds me of the time when I played an over-the-board tournament and I beat an 1800 with this, and he had no clue. He did not play the classical, he played the d5 one, and I have it in the description of my YouTube playlist on the series. Kind of a sneaky self-promotion right there, you saw. Anyway, I have the white pieces this time, and you can clearly tell it's me, because I play c3. I could have played e3, but I decided to go for c3 instead. I don't know why, I'm just kind of drunk. He goes g6. Why is this move so terrible? Not because of queen d2, but it's an idea. It's because you just play your normal stuff. You can even take this now, by the way, just saying. He's trying to play King's Indian, but I have too many holes at his position, which I can take advantage of. Queen d2, bishop to g7, and e3. This is what we got. This is what we got. And now castles, bishop to d3, all normal until my opponent plays this. And this is a horrible move because bishop takes d8 is simply the winning of a pawn. And I just, Also, keep in mind, this is another rapid game from a while ago. I think I played this really late. And that's why the quality of the play will really sink. And also, that was also on Lead Chess. And another Discord notification, whatever. Knight to c6. Bishop d6, and for once in the Trompowsky attack, that dark square bishop is actually a blessing. Because it's going to torment the black's position. I mean, the dark squares are really weak. We push too many pawns on the light squares, and it's coming back to bite. And knight f3, b6, bishop to b7, f6. I go back. And here, I go here. And now, we're past the opening of, we're past the opening. I mean, we completely forget about the point of the opening. Even then, I still have an advantage, because I'm up a pawn, right? And also I have a lot more of a dominant space advantage, but now I no longer have an advantage. Why? Because of, not that, it's because of this move. And apparently I go here, and I have to lose my bishop. And after that, I would go here, and then here, and then I would be like, 2 pieces for the rook. Kind of annoying. Instead, we do it this way, where he gets forked, I take a rook, and actually the funniest story is, it's not even that bad, ladies and gentlemen, because I trade even more, and here, and I lose a pawn. But it's so bad for my opponent because I got this. Apparently had this move, which would win back the pawn. Did not see that. I went here, and that's where we started to get really low on time. Right around this moment, we started to get really low on time. My opponent had the time disadvantage. I had the advantage by 3 minutes. And then we would shuffle, and now it's back to equality, believe it or not. Not because of a5, because of this, and now it's no longer equal. Honestly, it's very hard to tell what the move here is. A5, bring the rook up, defend the back rank, and it's locking up the position. And now, the rooks aren't really that good in locked positions, but I went for it anyway because a couple moves later, we have this transposition. 2 pieces versus a rook. Obviously, the guy with the 2 pieces is considered the top seed, but the value of the knight is lower the more pieces are off the board because it's slow and doesn't have a lot of targets. If it was 2 bishops, I would probably lost this game. And we have this move, and now he infiltrates. I mean, it's really chaotic here. I had 3 minutes on the clock. I had like a minute. I tried to stall his clock out, and then in this position, I sacked my bishop because I'm pressing the forward button. That's where the game ends. Because my opponent had 1 second on the clock, and I BM'd and bad manners them, and they lost in time. And after the game, they were really upset, and they wanted a rematch, and I declined it, because you should not accept rematches, because people might install something pretty fishy, if you know what I mean. By that I mean stockfish. Anyway, this is the classical defense. A little bit of a deep dive. What to do. I've given you the instructions on how to play against it. The structures. Remember the structures. E3, C3, E3, G3. And the setups. And all that. And if you want to try your hand at E4 or C4, after the classical defense with E6, go ahead. But that's where I'm going to leave today's video. And I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.